speaker.
This is Mark Hagen, Hagen.
Thank you. Sir, go ahead, please. Thank you.
Last November 4th, my 12-year-old grandson and I were sitting at my computer. We were ordering a dog tape with his Aunt Erin's fingerprint on it because he wanted something tangible to wear to her funeral the next weekend. He asked me whether it was true that Aunt Erin's killer was really going 116 miles an hour. When I told him yes, he asked, then why are people calling it an accident? Everyone knows you're going to kill someone going that fast in her neighborhood. You have undoubtedly read many victim impact statements submitted to you by people describing the incredible and amazing woman Erin is. But to me, she was, is, and always will be my precious little girl. If my precious daughter died of disease, a natural disaster, or even a traffic accident, we would be well into the grieving process by now. But Erin was not killed accidentally, but rather due to a series of deliberate, intentional, and criminal decisions made by one person. Even a 12-year-old knows she did not die as a result of an accident. Since Erin's homicide, I have yet to get through a day without breaking down or able to sleep more than 3 hours at a time due to the intense anger, grief, and nightmares I've experienced. Every time I feel a bit of joy, I reach for my phone to text Erin and Sarah to share that joy like I've always done. Forgetting for a moment that Erin is gone, when that realization hits, my wounds are ripped wide open and she's murdered all over again. I could talk for hours about my pain, but I'm probably one of the luckier ones in Erin's family. I was blessed to spend the most time with her and statistically the most likely to be the next person to die, sparing me many years of grief and pain, facing all other members of Erin's circle. And how pathetic Milwaukee has become, dystopia with many residents preferring death over the intense grief that we have been forced on us by criminals like the one who took Erin's life. But my grief and anger pale in comparison to the most obvious victims. My precious little girl and my grandchild. As a father, my selfish goals and aspirations disappeared the day my daughters were born. Their dreams became my dreams. The only thing I wanted out of my life was for them to achieve their hopes, dreams, and aspirations. Erin's dreams were modest. She didn't give a damn about wealth, fame, or narcissistic TikTok or Instagram followers. Her dream was a husband she could love and trust, and a family they could raise together in a warm, safe, and nurturing home. She found an amazing man who showered her with love and devotion. They found a community in which to raise a family. And she finally learned she was about to become a mother. All her dreams were about to come true until her path crossed with evil. My grandchild had the most amazing future ripped from them. That child would have been loved like no other by two amazing parents. That child would have been raised to be respectful, law-abiding, and moral and ethically strong, attributes that could never be attributed to her murderer. And above all, that child would have been happy and joyous, would have been unconditionally loved and undoubtedly spoiled by all in the family. Erin's childhood was not easy, and she was forced to deal with many family challenges, none of her own doing. However, she did not use those challenges as an excuse to lie, steal, and kill. She rose above them to lead an exemplary life. She chose to break cycles, forgive those who hurt her, and spread love and joy. No father could be more proud of a child than I am of Erin. Erin was selfless. Erin was a person that everyone in her family leaned on for everything they needed done. If there was an event to be planned and catered, housework that needed to be done, or errands or rides that someone needed, it was always Erin who was expected to step up, and she always did. Although the demands put upon her created significant mental and physical stress, she never said no. Shortly before her homicide, she promised me that she would finally live her life and put herself first by learning to say no. She, of course, amended it to that she would put her baby, Alex, and herself first. It's the only promise to me that she ever made that she failed to keep, due, of course, to her violent and premature death. Erin contributed to the community. She didn't terrorize it. She volunteered at the Milwaukee County Zoo, and quite naturally to all who know her, spent most of her time educating young visitors through the zoo's educational wing. Erin was disgusted by the threats of violence directed to poll workers in our community, so she became one herself and was studying to become a poll captain before she was killed. She cared about justice and making her community a better place. She added to her community. She didn't exploit it. She marched for social causes and urged family members, myself included, to join her. That dedication to justice lives on through Enough is Enough, a legacy for Erin, a group founded by friends and family to honor her and the countless others who have been injured or killed by criminal reckless driving, and to address the lack of accountability in addressing this epidemic. Erin's spirit lives on through the amazing and dedicated members of this group. Above all, Erin was bringing life into this world, not destroying it. A major contributing factor to my grief and pain is the way Erin died and the complete lack of accountability and responsibility demonstrated by her killer. To hit a human being at 70 miles an hour and not once stop to see if you could save their life, but rather gather evidence and flee like a coward demonstrates such a depraved indifference to human life and is so evil that that person is beyond redemption. Make no mistake, nobody fled in panic, as a collection of evidence demonstrated. His defense even made a repeated point of showing how he turned around and took a step toward the crash. That brief video is one of the most damning pieces of evidence, and it's caused me almost daily nightmares. He turned around and saw the carnage he created, and he saw that no one was getting out of that car. Yet instead of running to see if he could do anything to spare a life, an action that any human being with a conscience would take, he simply ran away and left Erin to die. A stray dog would have demonstrated more empathy for my innocent little girl that day than the criminal who destroyed her life and ours. The actions of her killer haunt me every moment of every day of my life. More than one person has shared the idea that Erin was simply an innocent victim who was in the wrong place at the wrong time. That observation adds to my pain and the pain of Erin's family. I agree with Jeannie Lupo, president of Enough is Enough, who quickly and empathetically shot down that notion when she argued no, he was in the wrong place at the wrong time. My daughter was innocently going about her business, preparing for her wedding anniversary that very day, and our family trip to Disney World we would be taking 2 days later. Her killer should have been in jail. He was in the wrong place. Several people have sent me TikTok videos of Erin's killer waving and flashing guns, behavior that was inferred as artistic, asking if this was the coward who took Erin's life. Imagine our anger and disgust when we read on several occasions he was warned that such behavior, even if the guns were toys or props, were violation of his terms of release. This is just one painful example of many that are too numerous to mention of this individual's beliefs that society rules and norms simply don't apply to him. Erin and her family, myself included of course, have been further victimized by these court proceedings. The constant disrespect shown to Your Honor and to this court throughout this trial naturally extends to the memory of my innocent daughter. Between her killer laughing, waving, and allowing his picture to be taken during the sidebars, to his attorney making the suggestion in his opening remark to the jury that they might, and I quote, maybe even have some fun. Maybe even have some fun, despite the fact that he was well aware that those same jury members would be watching graphic video of Erin's violent and horrific final moments on earth. I assure you nothing has been fun in the years since Aaron was violently taken from us. We were mocked and ridiculed for showing emotion during the horrific videos that were shown. Yet those same people who laughed at us for our tears were brought to tears when the jury reached their decision. The callousness and cruelty directed at my daughter in this room exacerbated an already numbing grief and pain, and has turned my grief and anger into intense hatred towards her killer and the many who enabled it. I am not seeking justice for Aaron today. That's not possible. I do ask, however, for justice for my daughter Sarah, my grandchildren, my son-in-law Alex, and Alex's family and all innocent members of this community. I beg you to keep Aaron's killer incarcerated so law-abiding families and innocent members of this community aren't further harmed by this criminal. And make no mistake, he is an extreme danger to society. He has demonstrated beyond dispute that his narcissism and selfishness puts our community in danger by his willingness to take any action necessary, including now a double homicide, to escape all responsibility and accountability for his behavior. I respectfully ask you to impose a maximum sentence on all 4 felony counts. To sentence this felon to concurrent sentencing sends a very clear and loud message to Aaron, Alex, and their family that their child meant nothing and innocent life isn't valued in Milwaukee County. And a concurrent sentence would send a clear message to Wauwatosa Police Officer Brian Wade and other police officers, as well as first responder Andrea Conway, that the Milwaukee County court system devalues their service and efforts to keep our community safe and accepts the anarchy that we are currently experiencing on our streets and in our community. Officer Wade, one of the few public servants who had the strength to talk to me directly about the events of that day, is suffering like the rest of the innocent victims of this crime. Ms. Conway, the first responder who tried desperately to save Aaron's life that morning, took time out of her weekend to attend Aaron's funeral. I remember very little about my daughter's funeral other than Ms. Conway, unable to say anything to me other than she was so sorry she couldn't do more to save Aaron's life. Officer Wade and first responder Conway are victims, suffering not because of anything they did, but by the decisions and actions of the person who took my precious daughter's life. In closing, I respectfully ask you to demonstrate the same courage and strength that 12 ordinary citizens demonstrated when they handed down their verdict by holding this killer accountable to the maximum extent allowed by law. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, sir. Our next speaker, please.
All right, this is Ruth Ergot. Pronounce it right? That's